I'm on the record. Hey, Mark. Look like we see your screen, but you probably can't hear us because we can't hear you chewing. Yeah. All right. So, Mark, look like we got your microphone turned off. So we'll go ahead and get started as we go through. Ideally, we'll probably spend about 15 minutes on each of the topics that we have here. What you'll first hear me do is kind of just highlight some of the information that I know you all have already read over, but you'll just hear me discuss some of the takeaways from the individual sections throughout. But this is who we are, what we're doing here today. This is how you can contact me moving forward. And it looks like, okay. So just some rules for the open discussion forum, right? Please keep your cameras on, silence your cell phones, remove any distractions that you may have around you. You know, ideally just kind of commit to learning, be actively engaged in the discussion itself, and then allow, you know, everybody else a chance to speak and avoid any assumptions that you may have about people as your cohorts as we move forward. All right, everybody good? Okay. This is what we're going to be discussing today, right? Understanding leadership style, significance of the affiliative leadership, exploring the origin just a little bit. Examples. We'll share some examples of some key figures right now that you may or may not have heard of along the way. We'll also discuss whatever questions you might have overall. And then we'll move into discussion about the micro-learning session certificate. So take a look at the question on the screen up there, right? So without trying to define affiliative leadership, what thoughts come to your mind about this particular leadership style, what it is and what it is not? What comes to mind for you all? Just throw it out there, turn on your microphones, just share your thoughts based on what you read about, things like that, or what you may already know.
Well, I think it's a leadership that everybody implements in their team building. It's the number one thing they would use because it allows you to connect with people and
Nice.
give you a peaceful understanding of who was there and something of the peaceful outlet of everything.
As as that open communication, open dialogue. Yeah, among team members.
Right.
Right.
So everybody is pretty much a leader. So if you give open communication, everybody is not disrespected.
Right. Copy that. Copy that. What else? What else? What else? What else do y'all think of? What comes to mind for you all? What it may be or may not be. Either the leadership style or that leader. What do you think that leader does or not do? Any other ideas out there?
I'm on the naughty list. I wasn't able to read through the whole packet before I started.
Okay.
Sorry, Chief.
Well, we're gonna be coming to you for questions.
I know. I read through like the first page and
okay,
was not as prepared as I should have been.
Sure. All right. Well, let's take a look here. So, if we look at just a couple of things, aspects about affiliative leadership, if we look at the relationships, if we look at communication style, if we look at team collaboration, conflict resolution, things like that, right? One could say affiliative leadership is and is not. Make sense? What you see on the right and the left side. So an affiliative leader does or affiliative leader would not or do not, right? Leaders do not, right? Neglect relationships or foster negative team environment. They would not do that. So the affiliative leader would not do that. Affiliative leader or leadership style lacks effective communications and may be distant or unresponsive. So affiliative leader would not do those things. They would not discourage collaboration, right? You see that there. It would not foster a competitive or individualistic atmosphere. Make sense to y'all? They
Yes.
would not do those things, right? They would not offer criticism without guiding. So on the other side of that, one could say they would encourage collaboration. They would prefer to resolve conflicts through dialogue, so forth and so on, as you see there on the screen. So we take a look at the first section there, understanding the leadership styles, right? We just kind of, the first chapter of the affiliative leadership certification touches specifically on some of the leadership styles, right? So when we look at in that particular section, what, as you heard me mention earlier, you just hear me kind of touch on some of the aspects or some of the highlights of the particular section that you all covered. I'll share my thoughts, and then we'll address the questions that you see on the screen. So if you haven't already kind of formulated some thoughts about the questions, it may be a good time to kind of formulate some responses to the questions as we move through my summary for you all of the affiliative leadership section, understanding leadership styles. So when we're talking varied leadership styles encompasses a range of methods, right? A range of communication styles and a range of decision-making approaches, right? Used to guide the teams in the organization towards specific goals, right? So if you look at, for example, the transformational leadership approach, they may inspire dedication by uniting group members around a shared vision, whereas autocratic leadership style relies on a unilateral decision-making and strict control, which can lead ultimately to employee disengagement, disconnection over time. I think I'm hearing echo still, so I'm going to reduce my speaker a little bit. That might help out a little bit. Okay. Y'all still hear me okay?
Still hear you okay, but I hear the echo too as well.
Yeah. You might have to turn your speakers down as well or something over there, because I still hear an echo. So,
yeah, I'm gonna try.
So let's talk about the impact of leadership styles. So we talked about the transformational leadership just a second ago, right? Autocratic leadership style. While the autocratic leadership style may facilitate the swift decision-making, it risks alienating the employees in the long term. Again, because of actions and or decisions of one person has such an effect on so many people. Right? So that's the people, that's going to be the people that's always downward directed. Do this, go do that, go do that, don't do that, come back to see me when you finish that kind of stuff, right? Whereas conversely, the transformational leadership approach kind of fosters that sense of commitment among the team members, really by rallying around whether it be a common focus or common goal, or even promoting collaboration and or dedication to the organizational purpose, right? Democratic leadership is that type of leadership that's going to be that's going to really promulgate inclusivity and collaboration as it relates to participatory decision making, right? Everybody has a voice, valuing the inputs of those team members and fostering an environment conducive to innovation and creativity. So, Hugo, can you do me a favor and turn off your microphone? Let's see if that helps. Because I'm still getting this echo.
That sounds
Okay,
good right there.
that helped out a lot. So, Yuko, turn your mic on, please, when you're ready to speak. Is that okay? You can hear us okay? All right. Well, that helped out pretty good. Thank you so much. So, okay. So when we think about the influence of situational factors that affect how well or how effective one might lead, or one's leadership style may be effective or not. dynamic and innovative environments often benefit from transformational or democratic leadership styles because it fosters that continuous improvement and that open communication and innovation within the organization. Whereas though in an emergency situation or a situation that requires that quick decision making, that really may call for somebody to utilize the autocratic leadership style. Go and do, right? And Asbury, I know in your role as the supervisor, you deal with emergency situations 24/7.
Yes.
Right.
And that autocratic comes in handy too.
Right. Being an autocratic leader sometimes is very effective, whereas though being an affiliative leader is also part of your toolkit, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes you can put that jacket on and be inclusive and involve everybody in decision making, but sometimes you can't.
Exactly.
Right. So a successful leader demonstrates adaptability, right? As we just talked about, by switching between leadership styles as the circumstances evolve, right? Ultimately showcasing that versatility and responsiveness to the changing needs that may occur, right? As we know, I know Sean is in the education sector, right? And as we've seen, many things going on with our local schools, with some of the safety issues that may occur. So you may go from right then and there talking about English or going over some math work when there is an emergency situation that requires you to shift from being the teacher to actually being the leader of everybody in that wing of the school, right? So sometimes you're going to have to be adaptable to what is about to happen, and that ability to adapt highlights that leader's capacity, really, to be an effective to effectively navigate the various situations that may occur, right? In hopes to achieve the optimal outcomes for success for the team, things like that. So let's take a look at the questions. Take a look at the questions. So let's see. I will give everybody or most of you all an opportunity to. We'll just kind of look at the questions, and just want to hear from you your thoughts, right? So if we look at the first question there, why is it important for leaders to have a deep understanding of different leadership styles and their implications on team dynamics, right? And when we're talking about team dynamics, we're talking about the behavioral relationships that may exist between members of that particular group, right? Team dynamics. So why do you think that's important? Let's go around the horn. TL, what you got? Or unless y'all just want to throw some things out there.
I'd say
Why is it
to
important?
keep the team productive when everyone's on the same page and working towards the same goal. It makes everyone more productive.
Like that. Right. Productivity. Keeping them moving in the same direction, especially if you've already established what the goals and the purposes for the organization are, right? Or the goals and purpose for that particular task at hand, right? Keeping them productive. What else? What else we got out there?
No situation is the same.
Mm.
So when it comes down the pipe of what you got to do when you got to do it, different leadership styles come into play.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to be autocratic style,
yeah,
democratic style, or
yeah.
affiliative leadership.
Yeah.
There are different scenarios that goes around because there's no one thing that's going to be done the same way every day. In some places, put it that way.
Right. So having an understanding of the different leadership style ultimately helps the leader determine which one they might need to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who am I going to be today? What's going on today? What I got going on today?
Yeah. Sure. Good. Let's look at number 2. How do the various leadership styles influence the overall organizational culture and employee engagement? Organizational culture. What are we talking about? Organizational culture. We're talking about those sets of values and beliefs and attitudes and systems that happen to exist within the organization. right? Those things. The military has its own culture. The wastewater management teams have their own culture within the larger culture of the organization for the city, right? The education sector at the 5th grade level, right, Travis?
Yeah, 5th grade.
Elementary
Can you hear me?
school level may have a different set of values, beliefs, attitudes than the larger district, right? So how, if you look at number 2, how does the various leadership styles, some of which we talked about, influence the overall organizational culture and employee engagement? What you got, Sean?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Realistically, what I realized, I've came to this conclusion that the administrative educators are not leaders.
Are not leaders.
They're not leaders.
Oh.
What the district teaches them about leadership is not enough to help them get through the day. Unlike most organizations, they're working with people who want to do the job that they're doing. With teachers. Right. So, I mean, I go out, I become a teacher, I get a license. I want to teach. This is what I do. So there's really nothing you can do to make me stop doing it. It takes a lot to make me stop doing it. So they never get the understanding of the worker that doesn't have to be there. So whatever they do and say, the people just deal with it.
Right.
But they've never, because I've been working on my principal this year, teaching her leadership, teaching her thing. I mean, she's been a principal for 30 years, but she's not a leader. You can't do it with attitude and emotion.
Yeah, right.
And that's what they have taught. Luckily, that reign is over now, and hopefully the school district sees a different change in the way their leaders are. You know, I had 2 assistant principals stand up and tell us, told the whole all 50 teachers and all the support staff, don't talk to the school psychologist when she comes over, because she has 3 different schools that she works at, and she's having a problem with people stopping her in the hallway and asking her questions. Right. And I was like, but that's your job.
Yeah.
Obviously we're doing this wrong.
Right.
Like, it's like as a first sergeant, every time somebody sees you, they're gonna say, "Oh, it's a first sergeant. Oh my God. I gotta ask you a question."
Right.
I gotta ask you. So basically, what she said is, "Don't talk to me."
Right.
And then when they told everybody, she got offended because that day people saw her and was like, "Oh, we just heard, we have to go through this channel and this and do that to get you information." So now she's upset.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one's
because I'm certain that was not her intent.
It was. Right. She got offended because somebody stopped her in a car, stopped her going to the bathroom, but it's like, when people, because she doesn't work at the school every day.
Right.
When people see, instead of explaining that to her, when people see you,
right,
the first thing that pops in her mind is, "Oh, I have to ask this person a question."
Yeah.
That's human nature. Yeah. It's not offensive to you. You have a lot to do, but that is your job.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quit if you don't like it. Those are the options, but you can't tell people. You can't say.
Yeah, definitely organizational, cultural issues there. Yeah.
Correct. They don't.
Yeah.
What we know as growing up, how we grew up in the military and all the structure and all that, we understand that type of leadership. Right. It's like the boss. If you don't want people to talk to you, go out the back door.
Yeah.
Don't come in the front.
Sure.
Because when they see you, "Hey, sir."
Yeah.
I've been waiting. And it's just big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is big to know. It breaks the organization down when you don't know what you're doing.
Sure. So, Yuko, turn on your microphone. What are your thoughts on question number 2? So make sure you turn on your microphone so we can hear you. Thanks, Sean.
Can you hear me now? Organization, employee engagement. It's kind of important for the diversity for like me. Yeah. It's people understanding some foreigner, but who work with you.
Right.
So might be people engagement to their background. their culture.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the leadership know the kind of people's culture and respect to them.
Yeah. Good.
That's kind of really important.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So when we're talking about affiliative leadership, it's rooted in diversity. It's rooted in inclusivity, right? As we talked about earlier. And then the various styles is important to recognize that, because every employee, every staff member, every team member is culturally different. They're different people, right? No different than the various people in the military. Although you have this particular leader, you may have 50 different backgrounds and cultures that they have to address as it relates to being successful as a team, right? So TL, what you got for number 3? Uh-oh, look like you froze. Okay, you're good now.
Oh my
Yep, you're good.
So I would say in my example, my boss is actually younger than I am. And he's structured in our group, and we have a very small group.
Uh-huh.
So we're easy to manage. We have very motivated employees where we don't have like those slackers that are hiding and not doing anything, behind closed doors or whatever. So we're all motivated and we have the autonomy, and it's sort of, we've earned it. However, feel very individualized and not like a team working towards a common goal. And then on top of that, not promoting like communication and collaboration between the remote employees. So our like, I don't feel a part of the culture or a part of the group or a part of the team. So it's a missing link there too.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, definitely. And all those things, because of the remote, you all have remote workers. So being a remote worker is part of the organizational culture. There's going to be a set group of people that only operate remotely, right? And as a leader, we have to understand those who show up into the office every day have different requirements, work requirements, but they also have different leadership requirements. We have to lead them differently than we have to lead the remote team members, right? So again, there are some cultural issues, some organizational structure issues, things like that really do come into play. So that was a really good example. I appreciate that. All right. So let's.
Dr. Parker.
Yeah.
Interrupt.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. She kind of. I'm sorry. I went off track. Remember, I offered my admin staff. You said, "Hey, this is what he offers," and the information that you offer as far as leadership goes, it scared them because they've never heard these words before.
All right.
Because the district teaches something different,
right?
Which I'm not sure what it is because I'm not in there yet. But whatever they teach doesn't apply, and they haven't realized this doesn't apply as people transform. Because explaining as an educator, you have the same degree that they have, right? You have your education master's, which as a teacher, when you have that, you're $50,000 to $100,000 away from your peers, but you're doing it for peanuts because it's what you want to do.
Sure.
These tactics, these tactics that they're learning are not helping the system because they don't have all of these in the back of their mind. They don't know that how to talk to different people, like Yuko said, the different backgrounds. They're just saying words, and it should be okay for everybody.
Right.
So
so communication is critical. And that is another reason why understanding the various leadership styles is important, because the enterprise communicates differently than the district levels. The district levels communicate differently than the local levels, right? So, and it's important that as a leader, we need to understand what those different communication styles are, so that way we can translate it. Sometimes we have to translate it to the people that we are leading. Good. I appreciate that insight, Travis.
Yeah. Another bumping on what Travis just said, man.
Yeah.
In my field,
Uh-huh.
there are they come in with engineering degrees, but no leadership skills.
Right.
They put these people up here when we're down here, then they're gonna try to lead us with an engineering degree, but no leadership skills.
Yeah.
So that's a big fight where we're at now as well.
Good. I appreciate you sharing that too, Asbury. Yeah, that's legit.
Yes, sir.
So let's look at the significance of affiliative leadership, right? So when we look at significance, emphasis on the relationship building, right? This particular leadership style focuses on nurturing relationships that we talked about, right? Within teams and organizations, and kind of create that peaceful, that kind of encouraging workplace environment, right? Which everybody deserves, right? This style of leadership prioritizes open communication, collaboration, and empathy, right? To enhance the team member's sense of belonging, especially when we're talking about emotional well-being, right? Which ultimately significantly influences their productivity, just like TL talked about there, right? It ultimately influences their morale. It ultimately influences their work or job satisfaction, right? So the primary aim of this affiliative leadership style is really to establish that workplace where individuals feel valued, right? And they feel connected, and they feel that they are contributing to the positive work atmosphere. Now, that might take the enterprise level, that might take the regional level, that might take the local level, all to kind of communicate, to get on that same page, ultimately, as it affects to contributing to the positive work environment that their staff deserves, right? So the affiliative leadership style has the ability, if you will, to cultivate that healthy corporate culture by actively encouraging that type of collaboration and emphasizing. They got to take an active role in encouraging and emphasizing the importance of building relationships, because it's not all about being downward driven. It's not all about that all the time. Sometimes you have to stop, understand what's going on with that individual to better facilitate successful completion of whatever is going on down in that, down in that manhole, right? So, excuse me. So this style, proves particularly effective in a situation where there is a need to strengthen team cohesion, and there's a need to strengthen morale. Let me talk about what that need, what I mean when I say a need. There may be a need to define goals. There may be a need to redefine goals, right? There may be a need to offer training and development to help them understand how to do their job better, right? There may be a need to increase communication, just like as we talked about with you, Travis, increasing that communication, maybe from the enterprise level down to the regional level, down to the district level, down to the local school level, things like that. And it may simply be just a need to build trust among all of those levels and within your own team. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So affiliative leadership, critical during times of challenge, right? Challenging periods, because it offers that support to team members, right? That may be experiencing stress or anxiety that may have been created by you as the leader or the enterprise, right? As the enterprise, they said, this is what we need to stop doing and this is what we need to start doing, right? It provides that reassurance, understanding, and a listening ear. It helps to alleviate anxiety, helps to build resilience within the team. It really helps to contribute to the stability that's needed and that continuity that's needed amongst your teams during those challenging times, right? So while the affiliative leadership style offers numerous benefits. It is absolutely not suitable for all situations.
Nope.
Right? So it is not, due to the risks of hindering tough decision making and performance, for instance, performance evaluations. Right? So you got to learn how to strike that balance between affiliative leadership and the other styles. Some we've covered already, and there's more out there as well. Right? So you got to learn to strike that balance. Right? Between that authoritarianism, the democratic leadership style, or the coaching style, or because it's essential to ensure the comprehensive leadership effectiveness. Your effectiveness as a leader hinges on your ability to shift and adapt, not only to the change in the organization, but the change of attitude that's going to be experienced by your team members. Make sense?
Yeah.
So let's look at the questions. So question 1, why is affiliative leadership considered particularly valuable in fostering a positive work environment? Why do you think it is so? We've touched on some of the things, but why do you think it is so? Why is it valuable?
It establishes a peaceful workplace where people feel important and connected.
Nice. That's right. That's right. That's right. What else? What else out there?
I'd say it gives you a toolbox where you can adapt to different leadership styles based on the situation. Wait,
yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Because if you're a one-trick pony, it's not going to work for all situations.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's going
right.
to lead to more conflict. It'll cause conflict.
Yeah. And we've seen that, across our leadership journeys, right? We've seen that. I've encountered leaders where I thought, man, how in the world did they ever become in charge of people, right? So, and then I've encountered leaders that I thought, wow, this is the nicest person I ever met. How in the world could he ever make a tough decision, or she make a tough decision, right? I've seen them, but it gives you that toolbox, as an affiliative leader. It's one of the tools in your tool belt to lead better, right? To lead better. So let's look at number 2. How does affiliative leadership contribute to employee motivation and job satisfaction compared to the other leadership styles? What do you think? How does it contribute to their level of motivation? What does affiliative leadership bring to them? We touched on some of it already. But.
Well, if I could talk to my higher ups and give decisions, I feel better connected with them because they listen to me. They can hear me just as much as I hear them.
Yeah. Reaching into the upper level leadership. And, sometimes it's not about what you said. It's about being able to hear what other people are saying. Right. So, yeah, absolutely. Because that communication, the direction of that communication should always be two-way, up and down.
Exactly.
Right. That's both verbal communication, and that is both being able to hear, right? Hear and understand and interpret what's being said. So, yeah. So good. How about number 3? In your experience, can you explain a scenario where the affiliative leadership style led to transformational change in team dynamics? What do you think? What have you encountered so far? Where that leader, as an affiliative leader, came in, made some changes, made some transformational change, and things went well or not so well. What do you think?
Well, I guess I'll speak. So many scenarios, in my time, but I have one particular where someone came to my base and analyzed the entire operation and gave us the 60,000 foot view, 30,000 foot view, the 10,000 foot view, kind of showed us where we needed to be. And that's something that no one had ever dissected moving operations like that. And kind of gave me a tool that I used throughout my entire career. So it was I've used it every day since then. And so I felt like I was nurtured because it's something that I had been thinking, how do I, what do I do? But no one had ever told me what I was thinking in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that affiliative leader is one who invites communication, open communication, right? Collaboration, willing to sit down and listen, and also listen and see what's going on in the organization. And then they can come back to you with some ideas, thoughts, and ways to improve. Yeah. Ms. Yuko, how about you? What are your thoughts on question number 3 in your experience? Or what elements of this particular style are important as a role in change?
Yeah, I think the leadership style, affiliative leadership, is really important. The affiliative leadership is characterized by a focus on the building for the positive leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fostering collaboration and creating supportive work involvement.
Yeah. And as Travis mentioned, that collaborative aspect of coming in and understanding what's going on, and then encouraging the team to join into let's figure this out together, collectively. I can give you the blueprint, right? I can give you the blueprint, and I'll just need you to fill in the outline. And then from there, you can move forward collectively as a team. And when it's done that way, if you break it down in small chunks, moving forward through this transformational change, I'll be able to give you the tools as an affiliative leader to help you move the ball down the field, to help you move forward towards the goal ultimately that we're trying to achieve. Make sense? Everybody good on that? Yeah. All right. Exploring the origins, the history around affiliative leadership. So when we're talking, and again, this is all the stuff that's covered. These are just, some key takeaways from your reading there. The history of the affiliative leadership kind of really traces back to the early theories emphasizing positive connection, right? Effective collaboration within groups, echoing the concepts from the human relations movements from the early 20th century, right? So ideas that promoting coworker harmony. And some of us, I'm of age enough to know, I remember some of these charges to promote harmony within the workplace, right? And the significance of interpersonal relationships really laid that groundwork for the affiliative leadership style, right? With notable contributions into this particular style from Mary Parker Fullett, because she advocated for a humanistic approach centered on collaboration and group dynamics. That's what her research focused on, right? Studying the theorists like Fullett allows us to gain insight into the principles that underlie this particular leadership style and others. But why does it do that? It does that because her work emphasized collaboration and interpersonal connections and healthier relationships within the team, within the organization, right? Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman. I got a book here, Daniel Goleman book, known for his studies in emotional intelligence, right? So emotional intelligence, his components of emotional intelligence, for those who haven't read through his work, he focused on self-awareness. He focused on self-regulation. He focused on motivation. He focused on empathy. He focused on social skills, right? As they relate to emotional intelligence. And he did so because they play a pivotal role in the development of the notion associated and the concepts associated with affiliative leadership, because they highlight, or his work highlight, relationships between emotional intelligence and things like trust and things like team cohesiveness, right? Warren Bennis, Douglas McGregor, also, they both made significant contributions by emphasizing the, well, let me say, by emphasizing the humanistic aspect, just like Mary Fullett did, of leadership, and focusing on employee well-being and motivation. Ultimately, continuing to enrich the understanding of what an affiliative leadership style is. So a couple of names there. I think I have them on your slide there for some more research if you choose to look into what they looked into. Recognizing contributions of this type of leadership: Goldman, Bennis, McGregor. As a leader, I appreciate their substantial impact to the growth and the comprehensive of the affiliative leadership aspect. These pioneers, ultimately, their insight has advanced the understanding and the application of affiliative leadership principles and styles, especially within the organizational setting. So this particular style, the prevalence of this style is significantly influenced, as we talked about earlier, by the culture and by organizational factors, right? As you heard me mention before, organizational culture, organizational factors may involve such things as core values, the organizational core values, the organizational purpose, the leadership styles that may happen to be in that organization, the communication styles, as we talked about at the district level, as we talked about, Asbury talked about from the corporate level, right? And even the accountability practices. How do we hold each other accountable? How do they hold each other accountable within the organization? Because that is a culture in itself. And that is an organizational factor that will influence and or present challenges to both acceptance and goal attainment of you trying to facilitate your affiliative leadership style. They will have an impact. So be mindful of that, right? The composition and or the objectives of the organization, right? Their purpose, right? Where they're trying to get to, how they're going to get there, play a crucial role in determining suitability of the affiliative leadership style. It might not be suitable for one organization. It may be perfectly suited for another. Let me give you some examples, right? So when we're talking about community-oriented companies, like nonprofits, for instance, Feeding America, America Red Cross, Goodwill Industries, right? Y'all know some of the nonprofit organizations. The affiliative leadership style often will align well with community companies, community-oriented companies and nonprofit companies, right? Where conversely, industries that is characterized by a high competition, highly competitive organizations, highly competitive industries, for example, the technology industry, the automotive industry, retail, finance, right? Consumer goods, right? Like we got somebody chiming in. Look like we got somebody joining in. Those are high competition sectors. So you may find a more prescriptive leadership style needed. I need you to go and do this. I need you to go and do that. I need you to go and do this. You might find that to be a little bit more effective because it highlights the importance of considering the context of the people, the context of the organization, the context of the culture, you have to consider those things in a highly competitive world, right? So it will influence the suitability of this particular style when we're talking about applicability in different contexts. So let's take a look at the questions up there. What was your knowledge prior to what we just discussed today about affiliative leadership style? What are your thoughts out there? Did y'all have knowledge of this before today? Probably learned a little bit about it in military leadership training, things like that. Was was there any aha moments for you as it relates to understanding the background, about
reading this puts you in a better perspective of where you are and how you are with your leadership. If you are in a leadership role or looking for a leadership role, how you would want to lead it.
Yeah.
And understanding the transformational, autocratics, democratics, learning those, I had no idea. Well, I've learned it one time before, but I forgot all about those things. But we use them every day.
Right.
But didn't know the levels of them, where you put them at, or how to put them,
Yeah.
So now we have a name to what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, because you do cycle through them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you do cycle through them, and the historical aspects of what of this particular leadership style, it has deep roots. People have studied
because it goes back.
Yeah, people have really studied these concepts.
Yeah.
And of course they evolve over a period of time. People add to the body of knowledge over time, things like that. But this is where we are now with it, and we can see where they were trying to go, early on with it, and where we are with it now. Yeah. How about number 2? Have you encountered any contemporary leaders or organizations that exemplify some of the things we've talked about here as it relates to affiliative leadership? And how do you see this leadership style impacting their team dynamics?
Well, I know I am. I am a contemporary leader as well, because I influence my guys to get your license. Go get your license. Go do this. Go do that to better yourself. Improve yourself. Move forward. Don't just stay here.
Yeah.
It's always it's better for you. I mean, education. Get that education. It's a free education. We give a free college. The union gives a free college education. Go get it. Move.
Yeah.
So
which has a significant impact on the dynamics of the team.
Exactly.
Because you go from having members who show up that aren't qualified or qualified enough to do the job, or may not be qualified enough to do the job, but eventually they become qualified to do the job and turn the job into a career over time.
Exactly. I push them. Push them. Go.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, TL?
I definitely experience these types of leaders in the military, and I have yet to experience this outside of the military. But it keeps motivation higher, productivity higher, keeps the team strong. In the military, it's that brotherhood. You have each other's back and whatnot, and it's a lot different out in the corporate world where everything's very profit driven.
Right.
So the difference in leadership I've noticed, I had better leadership experiences in the military, I would say, so far.
Right. Sure. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. How about you, Yuko? What are your thoughts on question 2?
I think I don't met the kind of leadership organization since I quit the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You've been out of the workspace for 2 years, a little bit more than 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. How about before you quit?
Yeah, I think when I was at work in the Okinawa company. Its style was old school. It, not much that nowadays leadership kind of you taught us.
Right. Yeah, it's very downward driven. It's very go and do this
Yes.
in your particular culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's thank you, Yuko. That's a great point there. Because when you look at number 3, considering your own cultural or organizational context, how do you think affiliative leadership aligns with the expectations and the norms of your workplace? I think it'd be a good one for you, Sean. How do you think it aligns with your norms of your workplace? And can you identify specific challenges and or benefits related to this type of adaptation?
So I would tell you, definitely my organization could use it. It would benefit them to do it. It would change the employee because I think they're still grasping it. They're still not realizing that the employee that's there is not there for them. They're not there. They're there because this is their job. This is what they plan to do. If in a more, so I give you an instance. I had the teacher that works. He works with me, not under me, but I'm his grade level chair. Through being an affiliate leader, I have taken him from the person they hated to see walking through the doors to, hey man, if they don't get the 4th grade together, I'll volunteer to go and be over the 4th grade and help them get lined up. Because they didn't see value in him, and they started to fall here recently, and I had to like flip them back. Hey, this guy is on the first page of teachers for the Clark County School District. Like he's number 46 of 18,000. Like there's no way he doesn't know what he's doing. You have to nurture that. You have to 6:58 this morning. He sent out the lesson plans for the week. Today. I did that. But because I invited him into actually wanting to come to work. Getting the results of that. And I shared it with the principal, and then, I think in my environment, just it's a toxic environment. Because that's what they've been allowed to do. And they think that's a leadership style.
So some parts of it may align with your organization, and in some parts of the affiliative leadership style don't. Right? Is that what I'm getting?
Well, I think all of it does. If they knew what it was.
All right. Yeah.
If they knew what it was,
yeah,
they could turn a corner that they would never have any idea.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if you go to the schools that are really successful, like the one that my son went to, his principal, you can see it in his face.
Yeah.
That he's a leader.
Yeah.
He has the leadership styles, the way he does things.
Yeah.
He's out front. He's not somewhere in the back. Really, he really doesn't know what to say to the team. He knows what to say to everybody. It was just like he was just like that great leader you saw in the military. I saw him speak. It was just like that. Oh, that's a colonel, right?
Yeah.
It was just like that.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's a really good book out there called Move Your Bus by Ron Clark. Oh man, phenomenal read. It's very short, probably take an hour to read it, but it's phenomenal. And it really touches on a lot of the things that you just talked about, specifically in the education realm, Sean. So I appreciate that. Good stuff. Let's take a look at the last section there, right? So just to give you all an idea of the types or levels that people operate at the affiliative leadership style adaptation, right? So we have CEO of Microsoft, PepsiCo, LinkedIn, and General Motors. You see their names, their faces, right? When we look at Satya, the very first one up there, adapted the affiliative leadership style at Microsoft and fostered a culture that was conducive to innovation and teamwork which ultimately drove, Microsoft to their success in developing and launching many new products and services across the board. Noise or Indra utilized this particular approach not only to bolster PepsiCo's financial success, but also to strengthen PepsiCo's reputation, especially as a societally conscious organization, ultimately furthering and solidifying its position in the her position as a leader in that, as I talked about before, high operationally tempo, highly competitive industry, the drinks market, right? Jeff Weiner there, LinkedIn CEO, adapted this type of leadership style, and it was pivotal to his particular role in LinkedIn's growth and success within the highly competitive field of technology. We see technology competing all the time against itself. And then Mary Barra adapted the affiliative leadership style or approach, and ultimately contribute to the development of a culture that really values collaboration and continuous improvement at General Motors, right? So a couple of leaders there. So if we look at question 1, can you think of a leader in a successful affiliative leader in the business world and how their approach influenced the team's achievements? What do you think? Did y'all find any others out there?
So I don't have a positive example, but I have a good negative example.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the company Yellow Freight Lines, LTL carrier?
Right. Yeah.
They went completely bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
It was due to terrible leadership for a very long time. Not taking care of the employees, not understanding workers' needs.
Right.
I'm not sure the exact name of the leaders there, but that's a good bad example.
Yeah, because you could definitely see how the other leadership styles may have been deployed and how it led to their success or failure. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Think of anybody else out there? Well-known companies? How about number 2? How have the actions and behaviors of successful leaders, affiliative leaders that you may know, they don't necessarily have to be on the global scale like some of these, that you may know, contributed to their team's overall success? So it could be somebody just in your work environment, could be your supervisor, right? Could be your superintendent, could be your principal, right? How have the actions and the behaviors of those leaders contributed to the team's success? Any thoughts?
I'm going to say I work for a company, Amazon. They did have it wasn't Jeff Bezos, it was Jeff Wilkie, which at the time, and he had an idea, no matter what you come up with, it's worth working. So that's why they've been so successful. There isn't any idea that's a dumb idea.
Right.
You don't get to say, so like now, I just saw it this morning. They built a shopping cart for Whole Foods in California that you just go in. You don't talk to anybody. In your cart. You go out. That was someone's idea.
Yeah. How about that?
Money that make money.
Yeah.
Everything makes money.
Right. So from an innovative and creativity aspect of affiliative leadership, you can see how that particular and or that the inclusivity in decision making affected that employee or that team's ability to bring ideas forward, that comfort level that they could bring ideas forward, which ultimately leads to the no checkout. Well, it's self-checkout, but no cashier, and they just go right out the store.
Right out the store. Zero bother.
Yeah.
Same as like when you search on Amazon, everything you initially find when you're looking for something,
right,
it's close by.
Yeah.
Right. You have to go down a little bit to find something that's going to take you 3 or 4 or 5 days, a week or so.
Right.
But initially, when you first look at something, it's one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
very true.
If you buy $25 worth, you get it this afternoon.
This afternoon, sure. Yeah.
That was an innovation.
We've been there
to make people keep coming.
Yeah.
If you go on, I bought some from Sam's.
Yeah.
I may get it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Costco, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Amazon, in the morning.
And that was and was that the CEO?
Yeah. It was just the company culture.
Right.
Is anything goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not any one step. I take a case in point. In CCSD, if I find a program, I have to submit it to my principal. She submits it to her boss. Her boss submits it to another person. It goes to another person. Then it goes to another person. To a team of people who vets it and decides if it's okay.
Right.
By that time, we've lost the benefit of the program.
Right. Yeah, because you got to capitalize on the moment.
You got to capitalize on the moment. And everything in Amazon was just, let's try it.
Asbury, you had
airplanes.
I found out what Amazon was doing as well to give you that service. Because Amazon, say you bought this one, say you weren't looking for this one pen. They got 20 other vendors now selling the same kind of pen. Doesn't mean it's the same quality, but it's the same kind of pen. So I go and buy that cheaper one on it. They got 20 different pens,
right?
But different prices on them,
right?
And I go and buy that pen falls apart. That's what's discouraged me about Amazon right now, because they got so many different vendors. One time it was one vendor that was selling this pen,
right?
And you would buy that pen. That's the quality of that pen.
High quality, right? Yeah.
You might wait a couple of days for it, but it was a great service.
Yeah.
But now you got 20 different vendors selling that one pen again now. I just use the pen as an example.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up qualities. I'm glad you brought up
man, that quality is stink.
Right. So because leaders have qualities as well, right? So if you look at number 3, in your view, what key qualities do successful affiliative leaders possess that set them apart, right? And can you provide a personal example that exemplifies these qualities? Right. So when we're talking about qualities, we're talking about, they possess emotional intelligence, they're effective communicators, right? They're relationship builders, right? That kind of stuff. So what type of qualities do you all see effective leaders having, effective affiliative leaders possessing?
I'd say the ability to listen and really understand the people that work below them, understand what drives each person.
Right.
Like we had a situation where when we worked in the hangar over at NSC, they have a basketball hoop in there. So sometimes the guys are out playing basketball, and that builds camaraderie within them, and they'll play, burn out the calories, and then they go get their work done.
Team building.
Right. Well, while they're out doing that, I was out working because I'm more self-driven and I drive my own productivity. So my leader noticed that and was like, all those guys are playing basketball and you're out here working. You can go home. And I was like, yeah. So adapting and just really understand his ways and what drives them. And that drove me to work more the next day and the next day.
Yeah. Tapping into the members, what's important to the member. Being self-driven is important to you, right? So is time off.
Yeah.
Right? And that leader recognized that. Yeah. I mean, being physically fit in sports and having fun and things like that may have been important to those guys or those people who were out there shooting hoops. That leader recognized that. Yeah. So that's good.
He didn't punish them for playing.
Yeah. But, he made a way for them to actually do that though.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He supported that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That was a great example as well. Yuko, what are your thoughts? What qualities do you see as successful affiliative leadership possess?
I think the affiliative leadership fosters collaboration, like
Yeah.
emphasize the teamwork and
Yeah.
valuing each team
Yeah.
member contribution.
Yeah, that's right. That's good. I mean, because when you think of the Microsoft, the Amazon, the LinkedIn, the General Motors, those are massive teams, massive teams. And they have to work collaboratively to be successful. If not, they suffer the same fate as yellow trucking, right? So, yeah. Well, good stuff. Great job on that. So what questions do you have about what we've covered today? Any questions, any follow-up thoughts on anything that we covered today?
I enjoyed the class because, like I said, it puts it in perspective of what is and what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, the names of what we're doing. You know,
Yeah.
I tell you go do something. You know, I know that's what's
The
that?
autocratic style.
Autocratic style.
Yeah.
I sit back and listen. I know that's another style.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to be a little laissez-faire. You got to say, you know what, I just need y'all to go on and handle that.
Yeah.
You don't need me standing over your shoulder. I know you got this. I'll afford you the autonomy to just go and do. Just like in the remote world, for TL up there, her leadership recognizes there is a role for the remote worker. There's a certain level of autonomy that happens. She get to go to lunch with me sometimes. Hey.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? I'm good with that. Right?
And I wish I could do that.
Yeah, so that's good. That's great point, Asbury. Good. All right. So this is just a brief summary of what we talked about today, y'all. Ideally, the goal is to keep it around 1 hour for each of the sessions. I know we got a little late start because we were just trying to get everybody connected and things like that today. But these are things we talked about. And today, everybody will receive a certificate. This is what your certificate should look like with your name, of course, in it. And it is a micro learning session course certificate in this particular topic. So I do have a couple of asks, right? A couple of next steps for y'all. One would be when you get your certificate. Well, before you get your certificate, or anytime even after you get it, email me your thoughts, about the new free micro learning sessions, right? Hey, I like this, I didn't like that. This is some things I think you could improve upon as you continue these courses. All right, just let me know that in the email. I'm good with that. I'll take that feedback and make the necessary adjustments to the course, things like that, right? Also, too, when you get your certificate, take a photo of it. Post it on your social media sites. That'll help get the word out about the free micro learning lessons. And I'll do the same with like the group pic that we took here today, right? I'll do the same as well. Share that. Hey, and on my social medias, and if that's okay with you all, but and then look for the next micro learning session. You know what I mean? I'll try to do these every month. The next one is scheduled for the 2nd of March. It's a Saturday. That one's scheduled to start at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right? So, yeah. So I do appreciate all of your support in this. Let me stop share. Share. Well, can y'all see, what do you all see now? Do y'all see the screen?
This your trademark.
Okay. So some reason isn't okay. So thank you all again. Thank you all for participating in today's session. I think this was fantastic. I really do appreciate all the insight, the input from each of you all. And again, I look forward to, providing these. Ideally, I just need an audience, you know what I mean, for the sessions, because I don't mind doing them. You know what I mean? And this will be the exact same format that we roll out for the other ones. And I have your emails. So even if you do receive an email from me and you can't make it, just let me know. Hey, I can't make that particular session. That's fine too. But I'll keep you on the roster. You know what I mean? Ideally, I like to keep the groups small. But in attempting to keep the group small, what happens is if 2 or 3 people fall out, then I'm only left with 1 or 2 people, which makes it a little bit more challenging to have a full discussion like we had today. So I may have to expand the number of people that I invite to the sessions, things like that. What questions do you have for me before I release you back into your weekend? Anything for me?
Yuko got some questions for you.
You got some questions?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Maybe. No. Guess not. All right, team. Thank you all. Huh?
Oh, I was gonna say, so I did have a question. How as far as broadcasting that out to get this message out to, hey, you need to attend this training. What is do you have any, hey, don't go tell 6,000 people, or tell this amount of people, or pass it around? I guess that's what's expected, because I feel like a lot of people could benefit from this.
Yeah. So what'll happen is, hopefully by the next session, the website will be published with the free sessions listed. They're currently listed out there now, but I'm working with my developer to get it exactly the way I want it. But the next sessions is listed there, and they have a number of seats listed. It's going to be 10 number of seats available. And the first 10 people that sign up will be the 10 people that's allowed to be in the course. After that, it'll close, but they may look at going on to the next one, things like that. And eventually it may just be, I might have to just start, if I see the interest level there, I may have to just start expanding the number of seats. But again, keep in mind, I like the intimate level that's associated with a small group, because we can all get into what we're really wanting to share. But again, I'll look at doing that. And again, the first 10 for the next session, the first 10 that show up will be the class size. Yeah, great question. Thank you. All right, team. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back in touch with you all soon. Lead well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parker.
Thank you.
All right.
You say.
All right. Take care.